Hey, this is Eric, and welcome to this session on amazing mobile features of Google Classroom. Before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping here. First of all, I want to make sure you can get to the resources for this session. There's a bit.ly link you should see here on the screen, which is bit.ly/Kurtz-mobile class. That link will get you to a document that looks like this. So if you're winding up in this document, you are in the correct place. Again, that is bit.ly/Kurtz-mobile class. I would encourage you to pull that document up so that you can follow along as we go through this session. If you want to try out any of the resources that are listed in here, or just refer back to this later on. You can certainly make a copy of this document if you would like, or bookmark it, or add it to your drive, whatever works best for you. While you're doing that, quick introduction here. So howdy everybody, my name's Eric Kurtz. I'm an educator here in Northeast Ohio. This is my 30th year in education. Started off as a middle school math teacher, taught middle school math for 7 years, and then for the last 23, I've been a tech integration specialist, or a tech coach. I work for the Stark Portage Area Computer Consortium, or SPARC for short, up here in Northeast Ohio, supporting about 35 school districts on how to use technology in the classroom with a special focus on googly tools. That's my day job, and then on the side, I'm also a Google certified trainer, innovator, and educator, and do trainings for folks all around the state, all around the country, and all around the world. My resources can also be found at a blog that I run, which is controlaltachieve.com. If you haven't checked that out, I'd certainly encourage you to take a look at that. I share news and updates and templates and projects and blog posts and videos and lots of things on my controlaltachieve.com site as well. Now, for today, though, for our session, we're going to be taking a look at the mobile features of Google Classroom. We're going to be diving into a bunch of really neat things that if you're a Google Classroom user, you might not be taking advantage of if you're not also using the mobile version of Classroom. There's some really neat features that it picks up that are not available in the regular web version of Classroom. Great for you and for your students. And so that's what we're going to be taking a look at in this session. A little bit more details on that in just a moment. To be able to follow along, though, that means you're going to want to be able to have access to the mobile version of Classroom. So at some point, if you want to try this out yourself, you are going to need to be using either a mobile device, such as an iOS device, like an iPhone or an iPad, or an Android device, like an Android phone or an Android tablet, or a Chromebook. Many modern Chromebooks run Android apps, and we'll talk again a little bit more about that as well. But to be able to try out the things we're going to be looking at here, you would want to have access to the mobile version of Google Classroom. So if that's something that you need to pause the video and get that set up, and then come back and rejoin us. That way you can try out some of these things as we go through this. Just wanted to let you know ahead of time that is a prerequisite to be able to do the things that we're going to be looking at in this particular session. All right, well, with that in mind, why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about that mobile app that we've been mentioning so far here. So it turns out that a lot of Google tools have a web version and a mobile version. That's pretty common. That's not an unusual thing. Like, there's Google Docs on the web, and then there's a Google Docs mobile app as well. And the same thing like for Gmail. You can go to gmail.com, or you can pull up your Gmail mobile app on your mobile device. Totally normal. That's something that we're used to. A lot of times, though, when you have a mobile version of a product, it seems like the mobile version is more of like a light version of it, or it doesn't have as many features. That's pretty normal. Like, oh, well, head to the web version if you want the full experience, or you can use it on mobile and, maybe you don't have as many bells and whistles. However, that's not true for Google Classroom. It's actually reversed. It's the other way. The mobile app for Google Classroom actually has more features than the web version of Google Classroom. I'm not totally sure why. I guess because, mobile devices are guaranteed to be touchscreen and mobile devices are guaranteed to have a camera with them, so maybe because Google knows that, they've built in some of these extra features on the mobile version, and on the web, they're like, well, I don't know, maybe it's not a touchscreen computer, or maybe there's not a webcam, and so they don't have those features guaranteed, built in on the web version. So the idea behind this is, if you really want to take full advantage of Google Classroom, teachers and students, anybody, my encouragement is to use both. Use the web version because it's very convenient. You're probably on, a Mac or a PC a lot of times, and so the web version makes a lot of sense. But also use the mobile version, whether it's on your phone or your tablet or your Chromebook, for those times when you want to take advantage of the other features that the mobile version brings you. So these include things like digital handwriting, taking pictures, recording videos, the scanning feature, the student selector, notifications, and more. And we'll be going through each of these as we go through this session. So that basically means, again, you can use a phone, you can use a tablet, or as I've mentioned a couple of times, I just wanted to clarify this, you can be using a Chromebook. Now, I'm going to be doing a little bit of all of that here today. So I do have my phone with me, and I do have it attached to the computer. So I'm going to pull that over onto the screen here for a second. So I've got an Android phone, and so this is my Android phone. I use a program called Visor that allows me to put my phone up onto my computer. So every now and then I'll pull that over when I want to show, but like, for example, this is the phone version, the mobile version of Google Classroom if I'm using my phone. But I'm also going to be doing this with my Chromebook. And so I've got my Chromebook next to me as well. And what I've done is I've connected to it through Remote Desktop. So when I go to this tab here, the Chrome Remote Desktop tab, that's actually my Chromebook over here. And so you can see that is my Chromebook sitting here beside me, and I've got it connected that way as well. And so it turns out that not only can you run mobile apps, obviously, on an iPhone or an iPad or an Android phone or an Android tablet, but you can run them on Chromebooks as well. Most modern Chromebooks support Android apps. Now, a couple of little caveats here. If you're using a school Chromebook, definitely talk to your tech folks, because that's going to be something that they control. They're gonna turn that feature on or off, and so you need to talk to the tech folks about, hey, are we able to do that? Do we have that turned on for our Chromebooks? So chat with your tech folks if it's a school Chromebook. If it's your own personal Chromebook, though, you can turn this on pretty easily. If you go into the settings on your personal Chromebook, there's a section in there for the Google Play Store, and it's just really a switch you flip. You just say you want to enable the Google Play Store. I do have Google Help articles linked in the agenda document, so if you want to pull up any of those help articles, it'll talk you through step by step what you need to do to turn that on. But again, it's really pretty straightforward. If it's a personal Chromebook, just going into your settings and turning that on. And here's what that ends up looking like. So I'm going to go back over to my Chromebook sitting next to me here. And I just want to show you the idea that you can run both the web version of Classroom and the mobile version. So if I come down here to my launcher, you'll see here's all my apps. Well, you'll notice right away that I have two icons for Google Classroom. This one here has like a little Chrome icon next to it, and this one doesn't. Well, that indicates that this is the web version of Google Classroom, and this is the Android version of Google Classroom. And I've got both of these installed on my Chromebook. Now, to get the Android version, I went to the Google Play Store. You can see at the bottom here, I've got an icon for Play. I've also got it here, an icon for the Google Play Store. Now, that's there because I flipped that switch and I said I want to be able to use Android apps on my Chromebook. And so because I've got the Play Store, I was able to install the Android version of Google Classroom. The regular Google Classroom Classroom is just the web one. So let's compare the two. So if I click on this first one here, which is just the regular web version of Classroom, you'll see it just opens up classroom.google.com, just the regular old Google Classroom, like you're used to going to. And I set up a class for today that we're going to be using called Mobile Classroom. So this is the one we're going to be playing around with here during this session today. So because I went here and clicked on that one, it opened up the web version of Classroom. If I click on the other one here, though, this is going to open up the Android version of Classroom. So just like we saw on my phone a minute ago, this is actually the mobile version, and it's got the same classes. So there's that Mobile Classroom, but the layout does look a little different, So, again, here's the web version, like we're probably used to seeing with the stream and classwork and so forth. Whereas on the Android version, it's a little bit different. The stream button's at the bottom and the classwork button's at the bottom. And so things do look a little bit different, but it is still Classroom. And I guess what I'm getting at here, though, is the idea that you can run both, and I would encourage you to run both. So if you're on a Chromebook, you can pull up the web version or the Android version. Same thing if you're using, like a mobile device, an Android phone or an iPhone, you can pull up the mobile version. And then on your Mac or your PC, you could be using the web version like I have pulled up over here. All right. Very good. So with that in mind, what we're going to be doing now is actually trying all of this out. We're going to be diving in to Google Classroom. Like I said, I did set up a class today called Mobile Classroom. I'm the teacher and the student, so one of my accounts is set up as the teacher, and then here I'll refresh that. So there we go. And so my trainer account, I'm a teacher, and my personal account, I'm a student. So I'll be jumping back and forth throughout this session between being the teacher, being the student, being on my phone, being on my Chromebook, so I can demonstrate all these different ideas. So let's go ahead and let's dive on in and try all of these out. All right. So one of the first things that makes the mobile version of Google Classroom different is the fact that it supports digital handwriting. Okay, what do I mean by that? So here's the idea. When you're in the mobile version of Google Classroom, if you open up a Google Doc or a slideshow or images, PDFs, quite a lot of different formats, when you open those up, there's going to be an option to annotate right on top of that Google document or that PDF or that image, which is really nice. Normally, you were not able to do that. You can't draw on top of a Google document. And if you want to annotate on a PDF, normally what you need to do is you need to use a tool like Kami or DocHub or one of those other, PDF annotation tools that are out there. Well, the nice thing is if you're using the mobile version of Classroom, you're able to do this a couple of ways. If you're a teacher, when you open up a document or an image or a PDF, what you're going to notice is at the bottom, there's going to be a little squiggly button down there. I don't know really what it's called. It's the markup button, but it looks like a squiggle button. And if you click on that, that will take you into the annotation mode. If you're a student, it's a little bit different. I haven't seen the squiggle button for students. Instead, if you're a student and you open up your document and you click on the three dots button at the top, there should be an option that says markup in the three dots button menu up there, and you would be able to access that. And when you click, either way, whether you're clicking this as the teacher with the squiggle button or the student by going to the three dots and the markup button, what you end up getting is you end up getting a new toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And that toolbar has a bunch of buttons. There's an eraser, there's a pen, there's a marker, there's a highlighter, there's a text box button. And you can, of course, choose like colors and sizes for those as well. and you can just start writing right on top of your document or PDF or image or whatever the case might be. You can just annotate right on top of it, which is really nice. When you're all done then, there's a save option. You can see there's a little save button up there at the top. And then what it does is it ends up making a second copy if you're using like a document. So like if I was annotating on top of a document, what it would do is it would generate a PDF version of that has all of my annotations in it, in addition to the original document that was there. Now, if you are already in a PDF, then it doesn't make a new PDF. It just annotates the one that's already there. But since this was a document, you'll see that it makes a new one. And then you can also, as need be, you can just create PDFs when you are inside of Google Classroom if you need to use the annotation tools, just like as a blank PDF. And I'll show you this. I'll demonstrate this in a moment as well. But you're able to go in and say, oh, I just need to use the annotation tools to work out a math problem or to draw a diagram. And we'll run through that option as well. So a lot of cool things we can do with this, and we're going to try this out. We'll actually do this here in a moment. But so like if I was a teacher, this is a great way to provide handwritten feedback on your students' work. You know, if you're used to taking a stack of papers and a red pen and sitting down and just writing right on your students' documents, well, you can do it. You can just grab your Chromebook, and especially if it's a touch screen Chromebook, that's fantastic. You just grab your Chromebook and you can just pull up your students' documents and just annotate away, start writing all over them, providing feedback. Or for students, especially like as in a math class, it's a great way to do something that maybe is harder to type up normally, like writing out math problems by hand. That's great. Or again, like I said, if they need to draw a diagram or a picture to explain something, this really lends itself well to that. So let's try it out. Let's take it for a spin. Let's see how that works. So what I've done in my demo class, created a couple of, assignments, kind of pre-populated those. These first three here I'm going to use to show this idea of doing digital handwriting. So the first one, what I did was I took a PDF of two-step equations. Nothing too fancy about this. It's just, I'll show you what it looks like. It's just a PDF here that has some two-step equations on it. And I pushed that out to the students in the class. And the idea is they could use the annotation tool inside of the mobile version of Classroom to fill this out. So let's try that. So I'm going to back over to my Chromebook here. I'm actually going to move the Chromebook over where I can reach it a little bit better here. So I'm doing a little adjustment here in the background. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the, again, the Android version of Classroom on my Chromebook. And I'm going to go ahead and open up that assignment for two-step equations. Now, when I do, there's my directions, solve these two-step equations. And then down here it says your work. So I'll go ahead and expand that so I can see my attachment. That's, the copy that got pushed out to me. And I'll go ahead and give a click on that, and it's going to open that up. Now that that has opened up, there's the PDF there. Notice, remember how I told you, if you go up to the top right-hand corner and you click on the little three dots button, there's that markup option that we had talked about there. So when I click on that and I click on markup, suddenly, look at that. I now get that toolbar that we had mentioned. And so there's that toolbar with all the different annotation tools and sizes and colors and so forth. So, I pick whatever color. Maybe I want to pick blue, for example, and pick the size I want to use. Now, I can do some pinch and zoom if I want to make this bigger. So I've got a touch screen Chromebook here, so I'm just using my fingers to pinch and zoom on it. And I have a stylus here that I'm going to use, but because I've got the annotation tool selected, I can just come in here now and say, okay, time to solve this. Well, let's see. In this case, looks like we would want to subtract a 2 from both sides of this equation, so we'll do that. The plus 2 minus 2 would cancel out. 6 minus 2 is 4, and now that equals a over 4. And now I need to get rid of the 4, so I'd multiply both sides by a 4. And there we go. Those 4s cancel out. The a is left alone, and it equals 16. And you get the idea. Now, obviously, I could do a whole lot more examples there, but that's the gist behind it. Is that just using the mobile version of Classroom? Boom, simple as that. I can annotate right on top of that PDF very, very naturally. When I'm all done, I just hit the save button at the top, saves that, and give that a moment to do its thing, and there we go. Now again, because that was already a PDF, it didn't end up making like, a new copy of it. It just annotated my PDF. So if I open up my PDF again, all my markings are already on that there. If it had been a document, which we'll see here in a second, I'll show you what it would look like from the point of view of a document. It actually makes a PDF version of that. All right, so that's an example of a student using this tool to be able to annotate on top of their document. What about the teacher doing that? So the next one I have here is a famous person report, where the instructions are to write about a famous person. And I went ahead and I already created an attachment for this here, and I filled in information. So I pretended the student has already done this on George Washington. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my phone this time instead, because I'm logged into the Chromebook as the student. So I'm going to pull up the phone where I am the teacher. So here is the phone again, and I'm going to pull up this class. And I'm going to go to classwork down at the bottom there, and I'm going to go to famous person report, and I'm going to see that Eric has turned something in, and there's Eric's document. I'm going to click on Eric's document and pull that up. So there we go. There's Eric's famous person report. Now, because this is the teacher view, remember I said it's a little different. You get the squiggly instead of that three dots button with the markup. So if you come up there, you won't see it the same. But if you come down here and you click the little squiggly, there we go. There's the annotation tools down there. Now on a phone, it's a little tougher. I don't have quite as much, real estate to work with here. So probably I would normally do this on my Chromebook as well. But again, I'm logged into the Chromebook as the student and the phone as me. So as the teacher. So I'll demonstrate it this way. But I can come down here and click on my tools, grab my red pen like I normally would, and come up here, and I could start finding like, oh, well, we got some, issues with our verb tense here, and it looks like we've got another verb tense issue here. You get the idea. I can just start marking up right on this document by writing on it using these annotation tools. And again, there's more tools than just the marker. There's also or the pen. There's also a marker, and there's a highlighter, and there's a text box tool if I want to add, a text box as well. But when I get done with that, if I come up and click on the Save button, like I said, notice what it's going to do here is it's not able to actually change the document. The Google Doc doesn't have the ability to have the annotation on top of it. So what it does is it makes a PDF version of that document with all the annotations. So I've got the original document here, and now I've got an annotated PDF version. Now, when I return this to the student, when I return their graded work to them, they'll see both of them. They'll have their original, and then they'll have the PDF with all of my annotations marked up on that. Well, let's look at one final example here. And for the last one we're going to take a look at here, we'll come back over to, get back over here to my Chromebook. There we go. Let's talk about first class levers. So let's say we have an assignment here where I'm telling the students I want them to explain their understanding of a first class lever, and they can use any format they would like to show this. Well, at the moment, I didn't give them any document. It's up to them to explain this any way they would like. Well, remember I said on the mobile version, a student can come down to the bottom, they can click the Add Work button, and they can go ahead and say that they want to create something new. And that new thing could include a PDF. It doesn't have to be a document or a slideshow or a spreadsheet. They can make a blank, just a blank PDF that they want to attach to the assignment. So if I click on that and say, let's make a blank PDF, look what I get. I get a blank PDF. and I get the annotation tools. So now I'm going to pull my Chromebook back over here, grab my annotation tools. I could really go to town here now. I could say, okay, let's come in and maybe we're going to draw, an example of a first class lever, which would be like a seesaw or a teeter-totter. So I could start drawing this on here and put my fulcrum in there, and then I could even use, different colors if I wanted to. Like, I could switch over to blue, and maybe that'll be for the load that we're putting on this, and then maybe red will be the force that is getting, exerted down on it over here. And then I could, go in and, annotate each of these as to what they are. So we've got, over here, we've got the load, and then over here, we've got the force or the effort, and then over here, we've got our fulcrum. And I'm doing this pretty quick, but you get the idea. I could make it a lot prettier, but there you go. So right there, just right there, I can create a PDF and use the annotation tools. I can draw a picture, a diagram, whatever I might need there. Nope. We'll continue sharing our screen there. There we go. And then when I'm all done, I just come up and click on the Save button in the top corner. And there we go. It is now adding that PDF to the assignment, and I can turn that in to my teacher right through there. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's keep on moving because we do want to look at some other things. That in itself is pretty awesome. Just the digital handwriting, just by itself, that already is pretty amazing. But there's a lot of other neat things that we can do with the mobile version of Google Classroom. And so the next thing we're talking about is taking pictures and recording videos. So let's chat about that. So it turns out that the mobile version of Classroom knows that you've probably got a camera built into your mobile device because it's figuring you're on a Chromebook or a phone or a tablet, and all of those are going to have a camera built into them. So when you're using the mobile version of Classroom, you're able to take pictures right in the app. You don't have to take them separately and then go over to Google Classroom and then click, a button to, upload the video or the picture. You can do it right there in the app. So from Google Classroom, depending on the screen you're on, you might be clicking on an attachment button. Usually that looks like a paper clip. Or if you're a student, you'd be clicking on like the Add Work button. And then what you're going to get is an option to either take a photo or record a video. Now, depending upon your device, you may have some additional tweaks you can do there. Like if I click, hey, I want to take a photo, I might be able to set a timer or change the aspect ratio. Again, that's going to depend on your phone, your tablet, your Chromebook as to what your camera is able to do. But you can do a little tweak in there if need be. And then take the picture. And so right there from inside of Classroom, you can just take a picture and it will then attach that picture and you can submit it. Boom, right there through Classroom. So for example, this would be great. Let's say your students are doing some work that's not digital. Maybe they've made some art or they've made a model and they want to be able to submit that in Classroom. Well, it's not a digital thing. Well, they could take a picture of the thing they built or drew and they could submit it. Or maybe you're having them do a scavenger hunt, go out and find, examples of things and they're taking pictures and submitting those. And we'll do that. We'll try that out here in a second. So we could do this with pictures, but we could do the same thing with videos. Same idea. In Classroom, you can click the attachment button or the Add Work button, but this time you can choose Record a Video. And you can record a video right from the device. So you don't have to use a separate video recording tool. Right in Classroom, you can record a video, play it back, make sure it looks good, and then boom, submit it right through Classroom. So this could be great. Like if you're a teacher, what a nice way to insert personal messages. You could add them right to the announcement, to the stream as an announcement. Just boom, grab your phone, record a quick video message, and send it out to your students. You don't need any additional software to do that. Or maybe you want to add video directions to an assignment so students have additional help when they are completing an assignment by hearing your video directions. For students, a lot of possibilities here. They could be using this to, show how they solved a math problem, to explain their answer to a question, to practice fluency. Maybe it's a foreign language and you're wanting them to speak and practice their fluency, or give a short speech, or play an instrument, or practice their solo. So many possibilities where the student can just pull up that camera, record themselves, and submit that. So let's try that out. Let's see how that works. Let's go back over to our Chromebook here, and we'll try a couple of these here. So for the first one, let's do this one, the Geometric Solids Scavenger Hunt. So for this one, the instructions are to find an example of a geometric solid and take a picture and submit it. So let's try that out. Let me go down to my Add Work button. Remember, as a student, I'd click Add Work, and there's my camera icon that I get. Now, when I click on that, there's the options: take a photo or record a video. Well, in this case, I'll just say take a photo. So, oh, hey, there I am. So here I am. And let's say I have my ever-present Coke Zero, which always have that with me, no matter what. And let's say that's going to be my geometric solid that I'm going to take a picture of here. So, and again, I could adjust things. It's going to depend. Every device is different as to timers or things that you want to set on here. I think I've got a 3-second timer on mine. But we'll go ahead and click the button to take the picture. And there it is. And we'll say that looks good. We'll accept that. And now that is uploading that into Classroom. And there it is. And if I come in and click on that, I can take a look at that. And probably, I bet, if I go to the 3 dots button, I can even mark it up. So I could combine annotation along with taking a picture. So you don't have to. Certainly that would be optional. But I could. I could say, hey, let's mark up. I got to find my stylus again. I could say, let's mark this up, and I could come in and I could, write right on top of this, cylinder. And there we go. I could mark up my geometric solid, hit save, and now I'm going to have an edited image of that that I can then submit. So there you go. Pretty awesome. That's great stuff. So that works good if I'm doing a picture. Let's talk about doing a video. So for this one, I made an assignment which says, favorite Google tool, record and submit a video to answer the question, what is one of your favorite Google tools and how do you use it in school? Same idea. I would come down here to Add Work. I would go to Camera, and I'd say, let's record a video. And there we go. Same camera there, but now I could just hit the record button over here, and I could record a quick video. And I'll make it really, really quick because it takes a little while to upload videos. So we'll just do that real quick. My favorite tool in Google is Google Slides because of all the creative ways you can use it. And there it's just playing it back. I can preview it if I want to see how that video was. And I'll say, yep, that's good. We'll accept that. And now, of course, it's going to take a little bit of time because videos, have a lot more data. So it'll take a little bit of time to upload it. But it is now uploading that in Classroom and would be, oh, that was actually a little quicker than I thought. Good deal. There it is. And then I could of course, turn that in. Now, keep in mind, like I said, you as a teacher can use these features anytime you want as well. So, for example, I will pull my phone back over here again. Let's say I was on my phone and I went to the stream and I wanted to, give an announcement to the students. Instead of just typing up an announcement, I could click Add Attachment, and I could say I want to take a photo or record a video. So I could say record a video, and from my phone, whoop, got to switch it around there. There we go. From my phone, I could now record a video saying, hey guys, great job today, blah, 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 or don't forget we've got a test coming up this Friday or whatever the case. And I could do a video recording. I won't do that for this example right now, but I certainly could do that right there from the mobile version of this on your phone or your Chromebook or your tablet. All right, so let's keep on going. Got a couple more things to look at here of what else you can do on the mobile version of Classroom. So the next one is something called the scan feature. And this is a relatively new feature that got added into the mobile version of Classroom. And the way this one works is it allows students to use their camera and capture multiple pages, and then it puts them all together into a single file. So instead of just using the camera option, which is totally cool, the camera option would work fine, but what if you got a bunch of pages, like in this case where they're showing multiple pages of math problems? Well, using the scan feature, the students can take a picture and then take another picture and take another picture, and it will combine those together into a single file. I'm going to try that out. Let me see if I can demonstrate that for you guys. I went ahead and printed out that same two-step equation worksheet and actually did a little math and filled all those out. Let's say that I wanted to try that, and I think I'm going to use the phone for this because I think it's a little easier for me to point the camera this way, but I could use the Chromebook as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, real quick, I'm going to switch over to my other account on the phone. It's a little easier to do on a phone than a Chromebook. So I'll come here and I'll switch over to my student account and go into Mobile Classroom. Let's go back into my classwork and let's go back to the two-step equations. And let's come down here to your work, and I'm going to click on Add Work. And I'm going to use the scanner feature this time. So let's say I had printed which I did. I printed these out. Let's say I printed out the actual worksheets, and then I filled them out by hand. Well, I could now come here on Google Classroom on my phone or Chromebook, and I could click the scanner button. And what it's going to do, there we go. See, I actually did the work. Filled all those out. I could come in here and say, okay, there's my page of work that I did. And I could go ahead and take a picture of that. And then we'll hit OK. And that looks good. And I'll come down to the bottom here and I'll click the button to add a second page. And we'll bring over the second page. There it is. And we'll take a picture of that. And we'll hit OK. And I can keep doing that. The button at the bottom that has a little plus on it, that allows me to add more pages. And I can also crop it. I can crop it if I want to clean it up, which I was off a little bit there. And I could retake it if I needed to. But let's say it's good, that I did a decent job. I can now hit save. And what it's doing is it's combining those individual pages together, and it's making a PDF that has all of those pages there together. If I pop over here and go back to that assignment, we should be able to see that. If we go into two-step equations and we go into our work, yep, there it is. There's the scanned PDF. And yeah, I probably could have done a little bit better job lining those up. So I probably would want to go back in and try that again. I did better on the second page. I was a little bit off on the first one. But simple as that, it goes ahead and puts those together for you. So that is the new scan feature that has been added in. All right, couple more things. What else can we do with Google Classroom on the mobile version? So another neat thing is Student Selector. Now, with Student Selector, it's not going to be as impressive since I only have one student in this class. I might be able to, I'll see, I think I may have some other classes here that I can pull up that have some additional students in them. Again, just demo students. If I'm able, I think I do. I'll pull one of those up here in just a second. But the idea is the Student Selector is a tool that is built into the mobile version of Google Classroom that allows you to randomly call on a student in class. So as long as you've got your phone handy or your Chromebook, you can go to the People tab in the mobile version of Classroom, and you can start randomly calling on your students. So let me try that out. Let me pull my phone back up. There's my phone. And again, there's only one student in this class because it's just me as a demo, but I believe if I pull up one of my other classes here, yes, and this is just demo students, no real people's names in here, but we can use this as an example. If you go to the People tab, which I've done here at the bottom, as you can see, I went to the People tab, I can see all my students. Well, at the very, very top, there's this button that looks like 4 squares where one of the squares is sort of tilted. That is the Student Selector button. So from the People tab in my Classroom mobile app, if I click click on the student selector button at the top, it will load the student selector. Now what happens when I hit start is it will grab a random student from my list of students, and I can call on that student and then hit next, and it will grab another random student. And so you can see the amount of students is dropping here from not picked, and it's increasing over here for picked. If I hit next, it keeps randomly going through my students, and I can call on a student randomly. If I decide that a student, is going to pass, I can hit call later, and it will throw them back into the pot and pull out another student. If a student was absent, I can click absent, and it will move them over into the absent category and not call on them again. And at any point, I can just hit reset and start over fresh with all 5 students again. So pretty neat, pretty nifty tool to have that student selector handy there inside of Google Classroom. All right, just a few more things that we're going to talk about real quick as far as what we can do with the mobile version. And so these I probably won't demonstrate as much as just because I got some pretty decent animated GIFs here that show these. So I'll probably just show you these from the animated GIFs on the side here. Another nice feature about the mobile version of Classroom is offline access. It's very possible that a student may at some point be somewhere where they don't have an internet connection. Could be that they're somewhere without Wi-Fi, or they're on a device that isn't their phone. Maybe it's like a Chromebook and it doesn't have a cell signal because it's not a phone, and so they're somewhere without Wi-Fi. Well, with the mobile version of Classroom, students are allowed to download assignment attachments so that they can view them later and even edit them when they're offline. As you can see here, the idea is what the student would do is they could click on an assignment and they can flip a switch that allows them to say, I want these files to be available offline. This GIF will restart here in just a second, and we'll see that as it's happening. But there we go. So here, for example, if you click on an assignment and you click on an attachment there, they can pull those up even when they're offline. So in this case, you see there's the button that says Save All Files Offline. Or if you click on an individual file, then you can go up. So they're clicking on the presentation, then there's a little 3 dots button. You can flip the switch to say, I want this available offline. At that point, you can access all of those from your menu in the offline files section, and then the student can pull up any of those files they need. Of course, they can delete them and clear them out if they need to get rid of them as well. But that allows them to be able to pull up those files anytime, even if they are not online. So that's a great feature to have in there. Another nice update that has come out recently for the mobile app is a little bit smoother grading experience. I don't know if you've used the mobile app in the past. It wasn't as easy to grade and jump between your students. Now there are these arrows at the top in the mobile app that makes it really easy to jump between the students. And then there's another neat feature in there, and that is a commenting feature where you can drop comments on different parts of the student's document. So if they have, an image or a PDF in this case, or I guess this is an image in this case, they can very easily click on that image and add a comment anywhere they want on that image or PDF. And also it's very easy to add the grades in there as well. So again, as you see here, you can pull up your students, use the arrows to jump between between all your different students. And for any particular attachment they've got, if you go up to the comment button at the top, makes it easy to be able to add very specific comments to different spots within the document. So nice improvement there as far as grading on the mobile version as well. Next thing to talk about would be notifications. So when it comes to notifications, we all know that Google Classroom does provide email notifications. That's already built in. That's just part of the web version of Google Classroom. If you post a new assignment, students get an email that says, hey, there's a new assignment. Problem is, students are not necessarily as receptive to email notifications, perhaps as we are as adults. They may not check their email all the time or may not respond as quickly to an email notification. Having said that, students might be a little bit more apt to respond to a mobile notification. They might be just more comfortable with that, more used to having their phone on them and getting a little buzz, being, oh, hey, I got a notification, somebody's texting me, or there's an update to something. And so being able to piggyback on that can be a nice way to get our students to be aware of, hey, there's a due date coming up or there's a new assignment, by having them use their mobile device with Classroom to get device notifications. The way this works is, what you're going to do is in Google Classroom, in the mobile version, you're going to click on the menu button up in the top left corner, just so you can see what that looks like. What I mean is this button up here in the very top left, and I can switch back over to being, here, let me switch back over to being the student here. Give me a second and I'll become the student again. There we go. This menu button up here in the very top left. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see a settings section that you can click on. Now, once you've done that, once you have clicked on the settings there, you're going to get options to either turn on device notifications or to edit your class notifications. Now, device notifications is what we're going to start with. With device notifications, what that does is it allows you to go in and say, I want notifications. I want to have sound and vibration when something new gets posted to a class or when there's a due date coming up. And so if I go in and I click on device notifications, you can see I've got that turned on. And now when there's a new update, buzz, I'm going to get notified, which can be great for students to keep them, in the loop on things that are new. If you need to control which notifications you get, though, you can go down to notifications categories, or notification categories right below there if I click on that. And what that lets me do is it lets me micromanage it a little bit more. I can say, okay, I do like getting notifications, but I don't want my phone buzzing constantly. So I want to make sure I'm getting notifications, when there is a due date coming up. So maybe I don't need notifications for comments on my posts, but I definitely want them for due dates. And so they could check and uncheck the ones that they want to get notified on. The other one that we kind of skipped over real quick there a moment ago, which was about class notifications. If you click that, what that does is it lets you turn on, whoops, I skipped over it again. There it is. I guess I don't have a picture of that one here. I'll pull it up over here and show you what it looks like. If I click on class notifications, that allows me to turn on or off notifications for an entire class, saying, okay, I don't need to be notified for this class, and this class, but these three I do need to be notified for. So that's what the class notifications one lets you do. All right, guys. Last thing, I think we're pretty close to the end here. I think the last thing I'm going to mention would be another nice benefit of using the mobile version of Classroom is if you are using other mobile apps to create content, it's really easy to send things from those apps over to Classroom. So maybe you've got a really cool mobile app that lets you make animated GIFs or make videos or create really cool images. Well, if you're using your phone or your tablet or your Chromebook and you're using a mobile app that generates really cool content that you want to submit in Classroom, well, no problem. From most apps are going to have some sort of a send option. And when you click on the send option in that app, it should say, okay, where do you want to send this to? And it'll have all the different options of places you can send it. Classroom will show up as one of those options, and that will allow a student to be able to send things they've created in those apps over to Google Classroom very easily without having to download it and upload it. They can just send it right there straight away. At that point, it'll ask, how do you want to, how do you want to send that to Classroom? After you click on the Classroom button, if a student is doing this, it's going to say, do you want to attach this to an assignment? If you're a teacher and you're doing it, it's going to say, do you want to make an assignment out of this, or an announcement, or a question, or so forth. All right, well, very good. I hope that gave you guys some good ideas about how Google Classroom is a wonderful tool that we love very much, but that we can even get more mileage out of it. We can do more with it if we combine the web version with the mobile version. So I would encourage you to try it out. If it's just on your phone, that's great. On your iPhone or Android phone, install the app and try it out. If you've got a tablet, that's even better because you got a bigger screen. Or if you've got a Chromebook that supports Android apps, even better still. You get this nice big screen that you can access all of these features on. As a reminder, you can get back to all of this information at any point at bit.ly/Kurtz-mobile class. That'll get you back to that document that has all of the resources in there. And again, hope this helped, and excited to hear how you and your students use the mobile version of Classroom to improve teaching and learning even more. Thanks so much for taking the time to learn with me here today. And if you would like to receive a certificate of attendance for this session, you can go to bit.ly/techint-cert. That will take you to a Google form where you can fill in all of your information. The form will also ask for a code, which for this session is 228. After you submit that form, your certificate of attendance will be auto-generated and emailed to you.